Welcome, everyone, to the 2017 Star Wars X-Wing World Championships. I'm Matt Holland here with Alex Davey.
Ahoy, ahoy.
And we are going to do a little bit of pre-game show here before the first top 16 match kicks off.
Matt's going to dance for us. No, it's not.
It's going to be even more entertaining than that. Leave it. Let's talk about the top 16.
Yeah, we've got a pretty interesting bunch of lists this year. A lot of scum.
Although, let's point out,
standards.
All three factions represented here in the top 16. Rack Whisper being the sole Imperial contribution to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have pegged a Phantom and a Decimator for being, the Imperial faction's entry into the top cut here.
Indeed.
But flying very, very well. 7-2 that list is.
That's pretty good. And I would point out Rear Admiral Cherno and Whisper.
Mm-hmm. And I think the secret ingredient there is Kylo Ren.
Yes, great anti-ace tech.
Oh, yes. And especially in a meta with a lot of 2- and 3-ship lists, handing out a couple of blinded pilots
that can really swing things.
And I think people forget, in that list, obviously, Rear Admiral Cherno expertly positioned to hand out that crit.
Yep.
But he's also packing Emperor Palpatine on there.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of mitigation, keep Whisper alive if she does end up in a bad situation. But I'm sure there's also a healthy dose of very experienced piloting. I know that's Tyler Tippett's list.
Oh yeah, Tyler is
and he's been
stranger to the game.
Yeah, Imperials since he started the game years and years ago.
The other thing that the Emperor does on there, and I think a number of his opponents probably missed this, but Whisper can trigger a crit quite easily too, because you've got Palpatine right there willing to dish it out. So you've got to be worried about Rear Admiral Cherno, but you've also got to be worried about Whisper, because he can proc Kylo just as easily.
Indeed.
That's the Imperial list in there. There's some interesting Rebel lists.
Yeah,
There's
a couple of variety with the Rebels is kind of the touchstone. We've got Miranda and Dash. That's a classic combination. We've got Miranda showing up in the match we're about to see here, along with Jess, Pava, and Biggs Darklighter.
2 X-Wings in the top 16.
Yeah, 2 X-Wings, and, there's another Biggs, too. But we've also got a different build of Miranda, which Nand Torfs out of Belgium is flying. And then also...
Nand, of course, the previous world
champion. Yes, our
champion,
2016 world champ.
Defected from the Scum faction in order to join the rebellion. So he's going to be flying Miranda Jess Biggs on the stream in
just a couple minutes here.
A few minutes here. So I'm very interested to see how that game goes. He's up against a pretty classic Fenn Rau, Old Teroch, Manaroo list.
Yep, and we've actually got a bunch of that list in different flavors. So 5 of these top 16 are flying Fenn Rau, Old Teroch, and Manaroo. So anybody who was worried that Manaroo was going to be unflyable or unusable with the range 1 restriction, I think that has been borne out as not the case.
Definitely not. And of course we also have an Emperor Palpatine in the top 16. So
we do.
Clearly these cards still have their merits, still being reached for by some of the top players
Absolutely.
out there.
Fenn Rau just shows up a lot. I mean, he's in Fenn Rau, Asajj, and Paula Gudali. We've also got him run in a classic Manaroo and Asajj combination too.
He's also showing up in Jaron Foss's list, which is a slight variation on the theme, running a Shadowcaster instead of a JumpMaster.
Yes.
So he's representing for Australia. A lot of international players here in the top 16.
We got Mishri Alfaris from Kuwait. We got all over the world. They're coming in here competing. We've seen a lot of these people before at Worlds or at System Opens, at other large events. So a lot of familiar faces here in this top 16.
It's always nice when the World Finals really do draw in players from all over the world. And we have seen that all weekend. Some of the best X-Wingers out there are from outside of the United States.
Absolutely.
Of course, we got the States well represented as well. A lot of great players
Kevin
here from
Lenitz,
America.
he was the runner-up last year. He lost to Nand in the finals, and they've actually switched factions now. Kevin's running Scum, Nand is running Rebels. So I don't know if they coordinated this or it just happened to work out, but we'll maybe be seeing both of them on stream. We'll be starting off, though, with Nand running the Jess Pava, Miranda Doni, Biggs Darklighter list, and Kyle Lehmbecker of Minnesota running Fenn Rau, Old Teroch, and Manaroo. So we're going to have kind of a classic matchup here, Scum versus Rebels, but we're going to see if the list build decisions that Nand made kind of differing from the typical Miranda Doni that we see with Sabine, a lot of bombs, twin laser turret, if that's going to pay off. So do you want to talk about his decisions and
yeah, let's talk about this
what
list
he's running?
because it is actually really fascinating. I don't think too many people would have predicted a double X-Wing list in the top 16 here, but obviously Nand, world champion, certainly knows what he's doing. He's made some really interesting choices here. I want to talk about Miranda first. The one thing that we don't see on here is Sabine Wren, which is practically
you think that comes with the Miranda Doni card now?
Yeah, especially when you're running bombs, as he is running a lot of bombs. He's got cluster mines, pretty classic choice, ion bombs, some great anti-large ship tech in there, and you know, you're sure to see a lot of large ships out there.
Absolutely.
With the Manaroos on the table.
The prevalence of the JumpMasters, the Shadowcasters, a lot of that stuff.
He's got plasma torpedoes, maybe a little bit of anti-Miranda tech on his own Miranda. Of course, just a solid card in and of itself. Guidance chips for that extra help. Extra munitions. Rey, crew.
Yes.
Another Heroes of the Resistance has really impacted his list building choices because he's got Rey, crew, and he's also got Jess, Pava, and M9G8 on here. So some big... some big influences from
getting some mileage out of that box.
Absolutely. An Autoblaster turret on Miranda instead of a TLT, instead of the twin laser turret. So strange choices, but as we saw last year, Nand, extremely aggressive flyer.
Yes.
He is not afraid to just come charging right out of the gate. He caught...
and that may be why he goes for the Autoblaster, because he wants to get into the fight, get those unblockable damage in. I don't know. We're going to see. It's very different from the typical kind of harass, slam out of the way, regenerate Miranda that we see in so many other builds. So this could be a really good tech decision to go against that meta.
And he's got a lot of offense in here. I mean, I think people are used to seeing this list, a slightly different variety of this list. We saw a lot of them on Friday and Saturday where you have, instead of Jess Pava, you have what's known colloquially as the Stress Hog, the Y-Wing with the BTL A4 title and a twin laser turret, usually with the Stress Astromech for some control.
R3A2. Yep.
R3A2. Yep. And so that throws a lot of dice, but it's not really a hard hitter.
Indeed.
It's mostly there for control. So Nand has instead elected to bring Jess Pava, who can really benefit from some close formation flying. 3 dice attack. Can actually put a pretty substantial hurt down, especially at range 1.
And Miranda has a great alpha strike with the plasma torpedoes, the guidance chips, being able to use a banked focus from Rey and her own target lock.
And if Jess, uses M9G8 to put that friendly target lock on Miranda.
Get reroll, focus, and flip a blank to a hit. That's going to be a real nasty plasma torpedo, especially if he spends the shield to bump that up to additional dice.
I would say that Fenn Rao and old Teroch have to be really nervous about those plasma torpedoes because if you roll, Autothrusters helps, but it looks and it does look like both Fenn and old Teroch have Autothrusters in this list. I've seen some lists where they drop Autothrusters off of Teroch to afford different things, but that'll help a little, but you never know when those green dice are just going to come up cold. And a plasma torpedo modified by Jess's pilot ability, modified by M9G8, modified by guidance chips, you should be able to pretty effectively drop 4 dice.
It's going to absolutely put the hurt on, especially if she can catch them at range 2.
Yes, range 2 is
always
ideal.
Always the possibility and not what they want to run into.
But I mean, even at range 3, they've only got 3 agility, so it's a secondary weapon. Of course, they're not going to roll that extra die.
Exactly.
So even if they have a perfect defense roll, you can sneak a hit or maybe even a crit in there.
Yep, and a crit on a Mandalorian Protectorate fighter, that's going to sting. No shields to soak it up, so
I think
one goes through.
Yeah, once again, we're going to see the approach be so crucial in every single one of these games, perhaps especially this matchup, because, Nand has a lot of early game advantages, but what he's losing out on, Gesundheit. What he's losing out on is the late game staying power of a twin laser turret Miranda.
Yes. Yeah, he's going to have to close the deal
that
earlier in the game than we're used to seeing with Miranda.
But that's how Nand rolls. He's extremely aggressive. I predict a fast and furious opening engagement here. When these two lists finally collide, it's going to be brutal.
I think for Kyle's list, we'll mention it's a little bit less unusual, so there's a little bit less to say. We've got Fenn and old Teroch, both in the Protectorate fighter. They've both got Attanni Mindlink, Autothrusters, and the Concord Dawn Protector title. Then Manaroo, following them up, has, of course, Mindlink, anti-pursuit lasers, so we're going to have that kind of blocking aspect, I'm sure, playing a part. K4 security droid, so even if he gets his own Manaroo blocked, still gets some dice modification and probably a focus. Unhinged Astromech and black market slicer tools.
Yeah, so, a little bit of unusual stuff on Manaroo here.
Yeah.
35 points is a fair amount to pay for her. Sometimes you see her a lot more stripped down as more of a focus piece. But, of course, she doesn't have that unlimited range anymore. She was
range 1 for her ability.
Quite curtailed in the last FAQ. Obviously hasn't really taken the shine off of her with, 9? Are there
9 JumpMasters?
9
only
JumpMasters in
2 or 3 Manaroos, I believe.
But still, certainly she's been all over the tournament.
Still represented in the top 16, and
absolutely,
and that's quite an accomplishment in and of itself.
For sure. So obviously still a very strong piece, but having that range 1 requirement means you're going to want her in the fight.
Yes.
Instead of
and I think that's why we're
edges.
getting stuff like anti-pursuit lasers. Other things, expecting that she's maybe going to be bumping, that she's going to be in there interfering at that lower pilot skill. Against most of these ships, other than I think Jess, she's going to be in there trying to get in the way, and then still take a shot and do some damage. So,
what do you make of that, Jess? Too? Do you think that that's a good? Do you think that's going to be utilized as a bumping piece, or do you think that the power of Mindlink is so strong that bumps are not as valuable?
I think that Kyle's going to be going for bumps. I think that Jess just needs to go for damage because an X-Wing, while we don't see them as much as you'd maybe think in a game called Star Wars X-Wing, they've still got great offense, and especially with Pattern Analyzer, she can do some aggressive moves, still get her action, then get the stress after that, and you're going to need to use your red dice, every round here.
She's going to be heavily modified attacks every round. Pattern Analyzer should allow her to get a focus every turn. Her own pilot ability is going to give her some rerolls. So
especially if she's flying there by Biggs and Miranda, which I'm expecting to see. Yeah,
at least in that initial approach, we're talking fully modified shots for quite easy. Only 1 action required.
Yep.
You can focus and basically have the benefit of focus target lock right out of the gate.
The other thing that we won't see in this matchup that we see a lot of times with Miranda is that slam into a bomb with advanced slam. So there's no advanced slam on the table. She's got guidance chips instead.
Yeah.
So I think that Kyle's got to probably be happy about that because that's such a tricky move. If Miranda moves before an opposing ship, a lot of times she can drop a bomb on them, and there's really nothing they can do about it unless they planned the whole round previously to avoid it.
It's true, but that being said, I wonder if this very strange K-Wing build is going to throw him off at all. Nand is not going to be flying list like the other Miranda Donnies that we've seen in this tournament at all.
And I know Kyle has had practice against the classic Miranda. I mean, Kevin Lennox, who flew that at Worlds last year, he lives just down the road in Mankato. So, these guys have faced each other. Kyle has played against similar lists that fly that more traditional Miranda, and I don't know if the approach that you take with usual Miranda will work with this kind of close-in brawler.
Mankato representing, though, am I right? 2 in the top 16. Strong showing from Minnesota.
Yeah. Minnesota has a very strong X-Wing community, like we've seen in a bunch of our games. Twin Cities players, at the home of Fantasy Flight here have a ton of events. They have a ton of community support, so they tend to do pretty decently when we get to this world stage here. They also do have the advantage of not having to fly here. They can show up, eat breakfast, and then walk out the door.
I think that does actually parlay into a pretty strong advantage if you're on your home turf.
Indeed.
You're comfortable, you're sleeping in your own bed. These things add up, especially over a long, grueling World Finals tournament.
Indeed. I think we are about to kick over to the game here and see the setup. We're going to see initiative-wise, Kyle has 97 points, Nand has 100.
Yeah, there's no reason for him, I think.
Yeah, there's not a lot of overlap pilot skill wise.
What do you think they're going to do? I mean, Manaroo, it doesn't really matter at this point. That's a bid that's not going to necessarily get him anything in this game.
In this matchup, he's kind of, I think, more tech for the mirror match or running into another Fenn, which, let's be honest, is very likely considering Fenn is in, I think, all but 2 of those scum lists that we see, all but 3. So he shows up
Popular choice.
pretty frequently because of his high offense potential.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, anything else that jumped out to you about that top 16?
I thought
Here we go.
We'll come back to that a little bit. Our players are here. They've got their obstacles out. They're setting up. The cutting of the damage deck has begun.
So that's Nand on the left, Kyle on the right from Twin Cities.
Sporting that Twin Cities X-Wing jersey, looking sharp in orange. Nand looking sharp in that handlebar mustache, as usual. And those shorts, the shorts are back. I'm glad to see him. I mean, you win World Finals, you're going to want to bring those shorts back.
Yeah, I mean, I would have even have washed them in this intervening year. Well, 6 months now, I guess.
So we're seeing the 3 big rocks hit the table.
No debris fields. Nobody decided that was something they wanted to run into. Not surprising with Mindlink. I don't want to inadvertently hit one of those and stress my whole list.
Why do you think that Nand... We've got Nand Torfs on the screen. I think that they'll be able to correct that shortly. I said this last year, and I'll continue to say this every year, but Nand Torfs, probably the most Star Wars name that we've seen in the tournament. So it's always good to have...
He is a real person. That's his birth name. I did ask.
Real, genuine human being.
So do you see the rocks being particularly important in this particular matchup?
Well, I think they're always important.
Does it favor one list over the other to have a certain configuration?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because Manaroo has a challenge on her hands in terms of whether or not she's going to be able to maneuver in that dense field. And it looks like the center of the battlefield is going to be pretty difficult for a large ship to jockey around in. So whether or not Nand wants to fly through the asteroids and engage, or clear some open space and have the engagement start on the ends, it looks like Nand is setting up to fly into and amidst these asteroids. He's confident in his piloting ability. He wants the Protectorate Starfighters and Manaroo to have to engage him in these asteroids, and I think that's a smart choice. He's got a formation list that he's running, so he's going to want to stay together to begin with, and I think that having the ability to go into the middle of those asteroids like that is probably going to pay off for him.
Now,
we saw last year.
On the other hand, at least, Manaroo does have unhinged Astromech, so she has a little bit freer dial than she could. But yeah, she's going to have to now be a lot closer than she would have had to been before the most recent change to her ability. So, yeah, I think having the fight in the asteroids there is going to favor Nand a little bit.
And do you think that Nand is going to go after the Protectorate Starfighters first? Do you think that's his move, or is he going to take whatever opportunities come his way?
So my philosophy running into a list like this, if you get the chance to light up old Teroch or Fenn, you take it. Because taking one of them off the board with some good dice, invaluable. But if they're denied to you and you have a shot on Manaroo, taking Manaroo off the board also really does impact their action economy, and it gets rid of one more attack that you're going to be taking. It gets rid of that big blocking base with the anti-pursuit laser. So it's never a bad thing if you can get rid of it, and you could do that pretty quick with the plasma torpedo.
It's true.
And 2 X-Wings.
Yeah, those plasma torpedoes really do work against a ship with shields, and Manaroo here does not have any real defenses other than the 2 agility.
Indeed.
So not a particularly hard ship to take down given time, but of course, 5 hull and 4 shields does take some work to get through.
Indeed.
So you don't want to be allowing those Protectorates free reign while you have to chew through, that much ship.
The other thing that could be telling here is Biggs has R4D6. A lot of times, it's something that's so inexpensive to add, and it lets you have integrated Astromech. You bring it because why not? But when you have someone like Fenn who's potentially rolling in and rolling 5 dice at you, the ability to cancel hits down to 2 if he gets lucky and gets 5 hits, that could be a huge.
Oh, it's crucial. Yeah, no, I think that has both integrated Astromech and someone basically just unlocking the potential of that card, because that card's been around forever.
Yep.
But it wasn't until maybe a year and a half ago that people started really, fielding it on bigs with any regularity in the competitive scene.
And now it's become virtually obligatory, it seems,
the standard
for people.
26-point bigs build for sure. But it gives him just enough extra life and staying power.
Yep. And it prevents the giant kind of swing that happens if somebody rolls really hot against your bigs. And it gives you a kind of more reliable death clock of when he's going to go down. So it looks like Fenn is going to flank Old Teroch and Manaroo together. So he's going to leave Fenn with no additional possibility to get the second focus from Manaroo's ability.
No, and this is really interesting. I mean, what do you do in Nand's position here? Do you turn to face Fenn, or do you let him swing in behind you, or do you try to slow roll it and bring the battle all together? What would your move in this position be?
I think I would go for the Old Teroch Manaroo side. There's too much risk. If you go for Fenn, since he moves last, he can just outguess you and fly right by and leave you kind of standing there wondering what the heck just happened. But it looks like Nand's going to go ahead and go straight in.
Defying that wisdom, absolutely.
Hey, if it works and you can punch out Fenn before the other two really engage, then
true.
Fantastic.
However, this is really interesting because I think I didn't have a chance to relay what I might have done, but I think I was more in your camp, Matt. Might have turned the other direction because there's more targets over there. There's more opportunity to get shots that you don't have to fly quite so aggressively. But like I said, Nand, a very aggressive player, and he's just coming out of the gate here. He's bringing the whole.
He's just throwing that first
whole
punch.
Squad over.
The other weird thing
if
about
Fenn leaves, he can probably reposition. Later too. So there is that.
The other thing I don't necessarily love about. Wait a minute. Yeah. So Jess is now behind Biggs.
True.
Which means that she's going to have to go pretty fast to get by him, and that's a thing that's happened to any player who you have a game plan when you set up, and then due to your opponent's deployment, you realize, all right, new plan here.
Yeah, Nand's changing it up, but he's not in that position where you want to be, where you want Biggs hanging out behind your other ships. Now, one thing that the T-70 does have available to it is the boost action.
Yes.
So it's a faster ship than the T-65.
Yep.
It should be able to, with some clever playing, get back out in front of Biggs, reset that formation. And here we see Fenn peeling off right away. Smart play. You don't want to be alone against an entire squad.
A 5 straight commits you to that fight.
So
this gives him kind of the option to go either way.
I wonder with Nand's play here, is he going to have a hard time getting this formation back, facing the way that he needs to go? Because Fenn at this point can just bug out.
Yep.
Can do a hard turn to the right.
That was it was a very canny move by Kyle, because that doesn't commit him to any one course of action.
And that'll give the other ships a chance to kind of roll in as they see fit through
It looks like
asteroids.
Jess did target lock Miranda. So that's the one thing that we saw there to kind of activate M9G8's ability.
Yep, because that's going to give those plasma torpedoes the best possible chance of rolling those 4 hits or hits and crits. You want to max out those attacks when you're up against a Mindlink list that has so many tokens, Autothrusters, all of the defenses. But again, if you can slip that, 4-hit roll on the table, something's going through.
Yes.
A hit or a crit, ideally a crit. And that's going to make the Protectorate Starfighters very, very nervous because they have to be extremely careful about how they approach this battle. They do not want to let a plasma torpedo off. Now, guidance chips, does that change a result into a crit?
For Miranda?
Yeah, Miranda's got guidance chips.
She's got 2 primary weapon value. You need to have a 3 primary weapon value.
I'm talking about the that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I thought. So there's no guaranteed crit in there, but still consistency is key.
Indeed. So it looks like Jess going to make an aggressive move to get back out in front. For me, it's been usually Biggs is the one that I have behind someone, and I need him in front because I'm running the higher pilot skill stuff. But here it's the reverse, but still kind of the same issue you have to address. Real quick, we'll talk about the top 16 matches. Nick Bell, he's playing Jaron Foss from Australia. Travis Cooper's playing Duncan Howard. Marcel Manzano is playing James Matchett. Wade Stover is playing Justin Foy. We got Nand and Kyle. Then Andrew Bunn and Kevin Lennox, Mishri Alfaris and Tyler Tippett. And Jerry Russell out of Houston, I believe, and Travis Johnson. So those are the matchups. We'll try and bring you updates on those as they come into us. So right now it looks like we have another round of kind of positioning in that pregame. But I guess Miranda is banking focuses here every round this goes on.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, unusually for Nand, the longer this kind of initial engagement goes, the more banked focuses he's going to have on Rey. So this is actually a case where he maybe doesn't hate avoiding this initial engagement. He's got M9 G8 up, so he's got that going the way he wants. He's starting to stack up focus tokens, which, again, it means it's going to be very, very difficult for that ship not to have a fully modified torpedo attack when it finally does get to fire.
Yeah.
It's going to help its defense later in the game. Miranda notoriously difficult to deal with in a late game scenario. And Miranda worth a lot of points. So, you know, if Nand
Fenn
can
turning away.
Yep, as expected. But, you know, if Nand can take out Manaroo and a Protectorate, he just needs to stay alive with Miranda. He doesn't have to do a single point of damage.
Yep. Yeah, if he can get rid of any two ships, then he's in a good spot. The thing here, as long as Nand doesn't give up any positioning, advantage really, he's only getting stronger because he's got something to do with his actions right now.
Yep.
Whereas Kyle's actions, you get a bunch of focus tokens, but you got nothing to do with those. So Kyle's really got to wring the positioning advantage out of this opening setup here.
Kyle, I think, maybe is going to try to turn back into the fight.
That's what I'm wondering.
And get some shots off.
A hard turn.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see if Nand is also going to hard turn into the fight.
That could get
right
very
through the
interesting.
Asteroids. Yeah. I think this is going to be a really interesting game.
We've also got that Autoblaster turret on Miranda, which, she spends a shield. You don't want to be that Protectorate that got in there too close and tried to arc dodge.
No,
that
you
could
absolutely
get
do not.
sticky, especially with all the dice modification because you've got Rey, you've got M9 G8.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some options there, and Autoblaster, while not a lot of dice, you can't do anything about them.
Yeah, and those aces, they don't have a lot of hit points. You sneak a few unblockable hits through, and you're in pretty good shape. It's also a good deterrent. A lot of times Fenn Rao wants to just blaze in right at range one engagement. But Miranda creates this bubble where you absolutely do not want to be in there. So that's actually a pretty smart meta choice, I think, on Miranda because a lot of Fenn Rao out there.
And he had to know, going into Worlds, if you did not expect and have a plan for Fenn Rao, and the Protectorate Starfighter in general, then you're probably not one of these 16 players. Yeah,
we've seen Fenn in particular be maybe the ship of the moment because he has been in a lot of winning lists and has a lot of strengths on his side. Very, very powerful ship.
And once again, the list, if you guys are just tuning in, we've got Nand Torfs from Belgium. He's the reigning world champion.
Mm-hmm.
He's running Jess Pava, Biggs Darklighter, and Miranda Doni. On the other side, we've got Old Teroch, Fenn Rao, and Manaroo, piloted by Kyle Lehmbecker of Minnesota in the United States.
We're seeing a lot of jockeying for position in these opening rounds, but I have a feeling that it's going to get...
we see that a lot at these high-level X-Wing matches. I'm a fairly aggressive player, too, and I also just don't have a lot of patience. And these days, typically not playing, for something like a world championship. So I like to just fly in, roll some dice, and see who blows up first. But you see a lot of this positional game at Worlds and other high-level play because it can be so impactful. You wait for the other guy to make that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That they didn't anticipate that rock that was going to be coming up. They didn't anticipate the bump, and then you pounce.
And we're going to have a scrum in the asteroid field for sure. Now this is interesting because Kyle has basically been able to maneuver his Manaroo into the one position.
He's got a clean lane all the way through.
He's got a clean lane. He can barrel roll left and right. He's in a really good spot despite this very aggressive circular asteroid placement. He's found the approach vector that's really going to work for that ship. And that's again, the hallmark of a good player.
Problematic now for Nand because he did not turn in. Next turn, if he has to have this engagement, he needs to hard turn. And now he's going to have the rocks coming up and not really be ideally positioned to to thread through them.
Yeah, there's no hard one turn on those X-Wings, which means he's not going to be able to...
Hard 1 or hard 2? Just going to pile into hard 1.
You know, these Protectorate Starfighters are slipperier than the X-Wings, so they have a little bit more forgiveness when you're in the asteroids like this.
And that's smart of Kyle. He doesn't care if he bumps here. I mean,
no, there's no shots. Not a problem.
He's
just
safe.
Going to let him bring,
Set him up for
bring
next
his
round.
forces in. Yeah. Yeah, Fenn's a little out of position right now because I don't know that you want to do an aggressive, like, 3 hard to the left. You could. It would get you some shots. But you don't know where Miranda's going to go. You don't know if they're going to turn in.
Yeah.
We'll see what he does. I'm actually very
if he
curious
does
to see what
of course,
happens
it's
with Fenn.
Potentially going to pay off very nicely for him, but it also could have gone terribly had they all turned in and he ate all those shots.
Yeah, so we'll see how aggressive he decided to be.
Looks like just a bank.
Yep, he played it safe, and I think that's the right move. But I wonder if he would have preferred to have a...
seeing where they ended up.
There. Yeah, seeing that. Although he's going to be able to get around behind things, which is always a great place to be.
Although he's going to have to be wary of all those bombs.
For sure. Always, always, always. No advanced slam, though, so it's a little easier to predict that kind of thing. Ion bombs, though, and cluster bombs is 2 ways to nail an ace.
Ion bomb, and then, next turn, drop the cluster right in front of them. They're going to have a real hard time avoiding that.
Yeah, you can't get in range 1 of Miranda. You don't want to get too close to the back of her. And depending on how the timing works out, you know, Fenn goes after Miranda, so she can quite easily get one of those ion bombs off in a really nasty place.
Looks like she's going to get a shot, but that's a obstructed Autothrusters, double focus, not anything to worry about.
Not too likely, but you never know. We've seen Phantoms taken out by Z95s at the World Finals here, so.
He's going to use M9GB there.
Yep, M9G8, a very solid choice. Now he's going to force the focus spend. Not that it's going to, you know, be a problem, but you never know. They might roll 5 blanks. You always take those shots.
Now, if I'm Kyle, I don't want to give him too many more turns of this focus banking. He's already got 3 banked.
Yep.
You know, the more, it's just like when we used to see a lot of the Moldy Crow title. You did not want to give those lists too much time.
No, it's a similar, scenario, and you only get to pull 1 of those focus tokens out every turn, but it's hard to line up more than 1 shot against Miranda. She's so slippery. And in a late game scenario, when you're just trying to keep her alive, those focus tokens will be invaluable.
Yeah.
Every little, every time you roll a focus on the defense and it saves you 1 more point of damage, that's buying time.
I'm so used to seeing Miranda with the twin laser turret for the constant regeneration. I'm very interested to see how this different build does. And then, I mean, imagine if this build does very well, I wonder how we see the impact of that on the wider meta.
Well, it's fun to see all the cards from Heroes of the Resistance doing so well. That is an expansion that hasn't been out for too terribly long, and we haven't seen a lot of tools from it in the tournament other than in Nand's list, but he is really making it work for him. He's got, M9G8, he's got
Jess.
Ray Crew, he's got Jess Pava, the ship, pattern
analyzer.
It's chock full of Heroes of the Resistance stuff, so it's nice to see that expansion bringing some tools to the Rebels.
Overall, between the World Tournament and the Hangar Bays, I've seen Ray Pilot being used. Obviously, Ray and Fenn is a classic combination there.
I was wrong about that 2-turn, incidentally. That puts him exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah, that actually worked out pretty good.
Oh, and here comes Manaroo.
So Fenn's going to have to come around the corner and then boost to try and get into this fight. He'll probably catch...
But does he want to do that? If we're again, Miranda, range 1 Autoblaster and bombs. You can't be as aggressive with Fenn as you normally are. Because, normally I'd say hard 2 around that asteroid and then boost in for a range 1 shot. But if he does that, he's going to be taking some punishment in return.
What are we measuring there? Oh, target lock.
Yep. Of course, he's also got to shoot Biggs, and Biggs is going to be, not necessarily a nice range 1 target.
So that was the K4 security droid giving the free target lock, focus for the action to spread the focus around with a Attanni Mindlink. So
And it looks like what has happened with Nand's list here is he's managed to recalibrate this formation in exactly the way that he wants it to be calibrated, which is Biggs behind the other ships.
Jess out front.
Jess out front. Miranda sort of playing defense keep away.
Jess might even have range 1 with 2 rerolls and a focus on Manaroo.
Jess hits like a ton of bricks.
And
this is a list with a lot of offense.
We're going to see Miranda fire those plasma torpedoes with,
Absolutely.
again, probably adding a dice. That's going to be a rough day for Manaroo here.
I expect that unless Nand's dice really let him down, we're going to see a really nasty opening engagement. This is looking really good for Nand.
And he's actually going to spread out the opponent's fire because it looks like Teroch cannot shoot Biggs. So Jess will take a little bit, Biggs will take some.
It's just what you want.
But he cannot concentrate his fire, which is tough for Kyle.
And we're not even sure if Fenn's going to get some shots in this round.
Depends
we don't
on how
know what
aggressive
he's going to
he
do.
went. I think he did a hard turn. He's going to try and get in there.
I think so too. I think it's the right move.
You've got to not fall too far behind on that kind of damage. Now, Miranda does have some good options. You know, since she's at the turret, she can kind of turn away from this fight here after she's initiated it and fired off the torpedo. So I think target lock, Manaroo. You've got 2 torpedoes. Taking her off the board in that first round would be hugely useful, especially for your maneuvering coming up. And I think that's exactly
I think he's
what we're going to see.
I think he's going to do that. I mean, the thing is, you've got the target lock because he's still so versatile. He's got Ray crew, so he's going to give himself a focus token, and he's got M9G8. So if he does decide to shoot at Fenn for whatever reason, he's still got the reroll.
Yeah.
So he's got all of his options open to him. I suspect he'll shoot the torpedo at Manaroo. But
there's just no guarantee that Fenn will stay in your arc, I think.
Exactly. Even if you put some damage on him, you're not going to take him down. When you have all of your
There we
other
go.
shooting.
The hard turn.
Yep. When you have all of your other shooting at Manaroo, you probably want to pile the damage on while you can.
And you're saying even if you have the Autoblaster turret shot?
I don't think I'd take it. I think I'd
Sure.
still shoot Manaroo. That'd be what
I don't
would
necessarily
do.
disagree. I'm just curious on your stance.
If Fenn had taken some hits already, maybe I'd shoot him. But, that's what bombs are for. You can drop an ion bomb. You can complicate
going
things. Yep, and I think that's the play for sure. Because here's what Kyle knows. Kyle knows that if Miranda is shooting Fenn, she's not shooting Manaroo. And
So
you've got to take Miranda out.
Here's the play that I think would be just great on Nand's part. So Jess goes in, blocks Manaroo.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda's going to move before Fenrau.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 1 straight, 1 bank, drop cluster mines directly in front of Fenrau.
Oh, yeah.
He has not a whole heck of a lot he can do to avoid those. Now with Sabine, without Sabine, there's no guaranteed damage, but
It's a lot
that
of
is going to
rolls.
put the fear of God in him.
Yeah, here's the thing. He doesn't, Fenn is forced to shoot Biggs, which is a range 2 shot, I would guess.
Yep.
Not amazing.
Yep, range 2.
He's going to roll 3 dice, which is good.
Got to recalibrate my internal range rulers here because I'm not used to this perspective.
It's a little deceptive seeing it from overhead when you're used to seeing it sort of from a player's eye view.
Fenrau, not a great roll on Biggs.
No, not a very good roll at all. Biggs.
You just take that and save it for Manaroo?
Does Manaroo have a
She's
target
got 1
lock?
focus. She's got a target lock on Biggs.
I think you spend it. You spend it when you have it. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. That's 1 damage that you didn't take right now.
Mm-hmm.
You never know how Manaroo is going to roll. He's doing it. He's doing the
chat. The chat seems to think that we're getting the Autoblaster turret.
I think
it looks like
we
that's
are.
what's going to happen.
That is really interesting. That is not necessarily the
Spent
move
the
that I would have
shield.
made. Oh, that's of course, because it's a 3 dicer.
It is.
Oh, crits are not what
But
you want to
that's
see.
not what you wanted.
Crits are absolutely
Is he
not
going
what
to
you want
re-roll,
to see.
or is he going to just stick with it? Yep, he's going to re-roll. That's
Okay.
better.
That's 2 automatic hits. That's no joke.
And he can
then
dodge
Fenn-
the crit, but that's almost certain.
Right, Manaroo's ability makes that Autoblaster turret even scarier.
Yeah.
Now all he has to do is hit with a bomb. Of course, no problem dodging dice that you can dodge, but we're seeing that very smart anti-meta choice in that Autoblaster turret really paying off.
It's a tough
that's
decision.
a half-dead Fenrau.
It's this time it paid off, but that would have been a picture-perfect plasma torpedo on Manaroo.
But now he still has 2 plasma torpedoes.
He does. I just don't know if he'll get as good of a chance to shoot it.
No, I think that was a sacrifice, but, being able to bring Fenn down to possibly one hit point.
And now with the opportunity to drop the bomb too, I can see why he did that.
Yep.
That was old Teroch trying it from long range here.
From downtown.
Looks like on Miranda, who dodged handily.
Mm-hmm. It's not a great opening engagement for Kyle so far.
No.
And we still have those X-Wings yet
Biggs
to fire.
and Jess to shoot.
Oh, yeah. A lot of modifications. A lot of red dice.
So
Strong
smart to spend
opening.
the focus because he did not need it.
Yep. Going to put a shield off of Manaroo there. This is going very well for Nand so far.
Kyle's got to be sweating now because if he's thinking, and he should be, about the bomb problem here.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be very thankful to not see Sabine, but...
Honestly, turning Fenn in like that, it's what your instincts tell you to do. It's what you normally want to do. It might have been a mistake.
So that's Manaroo shooting at Biggs, going to go for the damage.
Yep.
So she's now tokenless against that, I think, range 1 attack from Jess Pava.
Yep.
And Biggs takes one shield.
Blink Biggs, and you know that you need to get rid of Biggs because he's so
he disrupts
brutal.
your attacks much more than you want to.
If Fenn had been able to shoot what he wanted to shoot, he would have been able to put 5 dice on Miranda.
Yep.
But of course, Biggs being there
and potentially wipe the shields and save him. So there's just reroll. And focus for 4 hits on Manaroo. Things are not looking good for the scum list right now. And no focus to spend. That's all the shields off of Manaroo.
Yep. Half-dead Fenn, shieldless Manaroo. It is not a great opening engagement for the scum player.
Manaroo had passed her target lock back to Teroch. That was what that's where hers all went. So I think the golden move here for Nand is to get the bomb off on Fenn.
Yep, that's
you could just outright take him off the board, and then you've got a huge advantage.
I think you want a nice, soft bank to the right, followed by a cluster bomb.
Now, the smart money for Kyle might be green hard 3 with Manaroo and try and get the heck out of the way of all that, because if anything going straight, you're not going to pull it off.
I don't think a green's going to clear, well, maybe to the left.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yep, turn to the left. You've still got your turret. You're still going to be close enough to try and help, any surviving fangs that are in there. Yeah,
I would do a hard 3 to the left in this scenario.
You think? I don't think a S-loop will clear that.
Either that or try to block the K-Wing so it can't bomb Fenn. It's not a bad call.
I don't know that you'll be able to because Jess is going to move before Manaroo. Is there a place that Manaroo can fit in kind of between those two? Maybe.
Maybe. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Because if I'm
you
Kyle,
could try,
I just
could
one
try
straight
a one
with
bank
Jess.
to the right.
Yeah.
I don't know that Jess can block that, actually. Because remember, you need to be able to move that K-Wing enough to get that bomb lined up. Now, if nothing's in the way, it's in a perfect spot. But he doesn't have advanced slam. He's got to. He could also do ion bombs. That'd be an interesting choice. Because you can potentially get another Autoblaster turret off and delete Fenn in a subsequent round.
Sure.
Or both. I mean, you should drop all the bombs.
Well, you can only drop one a turn.
That's true. That's true.
We never wanted the
Fortunately,
salvo
you can
off
only
3 bombs or 6 bombs in one turn.
No doubt.
Hey, sorry, you parked your defender range 1 behind me. Have 6 thermal detonators.
Well, and the luxury here, of course, is that Nand is going to know exactly what he wants to do when the time comes.
Yes.
Because he's going to get to see how this all plays out before he has to make any bomb-related decisions.
So Jess is doing the 1 straight, trying to set up the block, get Miranda the room to work with to get the bomb off.
Yep. Smart play, I think.
I think the chat's on the same page with us. They're thinking this one here, set up the cluster mine, and then just hope that he rolls some damage.
You only
cluster
have to put
mine
2
now working on both hits and crits.
Yep.
For a while now, so
that change
better odds.
Absolutely brought that bomb right back into prominence. It went from unplayed to.
Nope, he's just bumping.
Bumping in, okay.
So I think that was a 1 straight, maybe just accepting that they were going to bump.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see Manaroo fitting into that gap anyways, even with a bank. So I think hard turning out would have given you a chance.
This will be a decent shot at Biggs too, possibly a torpedo. Is Manaroo packing a torpedo?
No.
No torpedo on Manaroo.
Anti-pursuit lasers, which would have been great and maybe great in the future, but right now, not sure. And I'm not sure why he went so fast with Biggs here either.
That is a strange choice.
That's going to cause Biggs to bump.
It's a very strange choice, actually. I would have expected a 1.
Because then you know you're safe. You know Biggs gets their action.
I wonder if he's just trying to make sure he doesn't get shot by Fenn.
Maybe. Or trying to make sure Fenn has room to fly through all the cluster mines instead of, being blocked only onto the first one or something. That could be what's going through his head here.
Interesting play. Doesn't leave Miranda any room to do much of a bank. Maybe he's got the angle figured out so that he knows that if he banks into Biggs, he's going to be able to drop a bomb directly onto Fenn. I think if he does a bank, he's actually going to be able to drop the bomb right onto
But it's an action.
Oh, you're
to
right.
drop cluster mines. He has to just go straight and then drop them.
He's got to go straight and drop them.
It'll still catch him with probably 1 or maybe 2, depending on what move he took, but it isn't quite as good as just dripping the whole strip right in front of him.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'm a little surprised by that. If Biggs had hung back, you might have been able to get that angled bomb drop with Miranda. But we'll see what happens.
I think that would be a bump if he tried to bank into Jess. Again, it's a little bit harder to tell because this is such a unusual perspective.
It's true. Maybe he was just primarily concerned with not bumping and being absolutely certain of dropping those bombs. I think he's playing it safe.
And I mean, think here, cluster mines start right where the template starts here.
Yep.
So that's a pretty dang good spot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That wingspan is problematic. We're going to do some peg
repegging
work
here. Somebody's wondering what is on Manaroo. Manaroo has got Attanni Mindlink, anti-pursuit lasers, K4 security droid, unhinged Astromech, and black market slicer tools.
Not a lot of tech that is helping him in this particular moment. No stress to slice. A low pilot skill ship, is gonna turn off those anti-pursuit lasers because he's able to put Jess in front of Manaroo and not bump with his other ships.
And here come those nice acrylic regional champion bomb tokens.
Yep. Now I wonder if Fenn just peels away.
Even with a hard 1, he eats one of those. And
it's got no
then
chance.
He's going to have to boost and try and get clear of the
I actually think,
Autoblaster turret.
I think turning Fenn in was a huge mistake.
Is this just a fast straight?
Ooh, that might hit 2. This could be the end of Fenn Rao.
Ooh. Let's see those dice, see if it's even worth moving him.
Brutal. Brutal.
Boom, boom. Let's get that dice tray up because we're going to see if Fenn Rao survives.
It's not even a K turn.
No, I really wonder about that move. Here we go.
Oh, it's all over.
That's it for Fenn Rao.
Brutal. Yeah, I think turning Fenn in was a huge mistake because it opened him up to hitting all of that stuff. He needed to play it a little safer and a little slower.
Not what you
want to do with Fenn.
Yeah, not only did it open the Autoblaster turret, and then it just got worse with setting up the bomb. And now there's still that 1 bomb lingering back there, kind of restricting the future options for the scum list. Those X-Wings are going to be clear to, I guess, Biggs can't K-turn there, but Jess definitely can.
One of the things that's been so interesting to see as this game evolves is players are learning how to use every single trick in the X-Wing playbook.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, bombs, you didn't see a single one.
Nope.
They were even after the K-Wing came out originally, like this is not something that is a new play style particularly. It's just a play style that has caught on a lot more in recent years. Now, obviously, the errata to the helps, but what I think is we're seeing evolving player base.
We're also seeing a Plinka 5-dice plasma torpedo on old Teroch, although that was not what you wanted to roll there.
However, guidance chips and M9 G8.
Yeah, he's potentially going to get 3 hits out of this, but
still not a good roll.
A disappointment for sure. So 3 hits on old Teroch, range 2, not benefiting from the title, not benefiting from Autothrusters.
Teroch's taking it.
That is brutal.
So you can see even
2
with,
damage
even
on
with a
Teroch?
bad, even with a terrible attack roll, you've got. Yeah.
I don't see what Kyle does here. You lose Teroch and you're out of options for doing damage.
It's pretty much
for
game
the
over
most
at
part.
that point. I mean, he's going to be hard pressed to come back from this.
And now he's going to unload on Teroch with the other 2.
Yep. Tons of offense in this list. This is a damage dealing powerhouse of a list. Jess Pava, of course, rolls
Using
into
the
a
rear. This is
absolutely brutal, and it's all over.
That's
I'd say that's game.
That's Teroch. You've got Manaroo versus 3 virtually unhurt rebel
Not
ships.
gonna happen. Yeah.
You've still got 2 torpedoes on the board. I mean, what can you possibly do?
Nand is
to
showing
stop
us,
this?
you know, exactly.
A weapons failure.
Yep.
The weapons are not working great because they are in a rapidly expanding cloud of debris.
It's just a fireball.
Or was this on Manaroo? I can't imagine that it was. Oh, was that Biggs shooting Manaroo? No. Oh.
Oh, okay. Things are a little better.
That was
for
Teroch
Kyle than
on
we
Biggs.
thought. Well, that's a pretty good roll for Teroch then.
That was yes. Our bad, guys. We're not following our pilot skills here. So Teroch on Biggs. Now it's Biggs back on Manaroo. No focus. No focus. Not as bad as we had initially read it, but still not great.
No, I think Kyle's still in this by a thread.
A lot of no focus tokens.
Yeah,
this
for
turn.
a Mindlink list, this is surprisingly tokenless. Of course, that's what happens when you get a bunch of bumps. Mindlink can't save you from that.
Now, of course, Miranda does not have a lot of good options for maneuvering this next turn, but worth it absolutely to take Fenn off the board.
She did her job.
Fenn got one kind of middling attack, and that was all.
Which didn't even take a shield off of Biggs.
So this has to be what, Jess shooting Teroch?
Shooting.
Yep,
Yeah,
and then
Teroch.
Concord on Protector, and he still goes down.
Oof.
So we called it wrong, but we called it right just early.
So yeah, I think that approach was just all wrong for Kyle.
Now, my one question
did not work out.
Did Biggs have a weapons failure?
I can't see.
Somebody had a weapons failure there, and it must have been Biggs if Nand took it, right?
Yeah,
or was that Manaroo shooting Biggs?
So Manaroo's got a face down damage card. Fenn's got 4 face down damage cards. I don't know who took that crit. If it was Biggs, they did roll too many attack dice there.
I think they're going to check on that here before we get too much further. Oh, integrated Astro. So
of course.
He took the crit, got rid of it.
Of course.
We just can't quite see Biggs's sheet here, so wanted to make sure that nothing had been misplayed. But yep, integrated Astromech.
Absolutely the right call, and that's why that Astromech is so valuable. It's not just a lifesaver; it also saves you from otherwise really disruptive critical hits.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the crit that you see, and you're like, no, I don't want that one.
I'm good. Especially, I mean, at this point, with just Manaroo on the board, you can afford to not have that back pocket.
I mean, at this point, he could lose both X-Wings and still have this game in the bag. So it's all over but the crying, as they say.
Yep, we've just got just some hull left on Manaroo, already 1 damage on her.
Kyle's going to play it out. More power to him.
I mean, at this point, why not? He's got nowhere else to be.
This is true. Yeah, I think we are seeing right here why Nand is the world champion, the reigning world champion. That was an expertly designed list and an expertly piloted initial engagement there. Nand may be the man to beat in this tournament.
There was also, I mean, last year we definitely saw some people, say like, well, triple U-boat, triple JumpMasters, that's a low skill, low skill floor list.
Dengaroo caught some flack for that as well.
Exactly. Like, is that really indicative of non-skill? And I think with a repeat performance, getting to the top 16 here at Worlds and looking like he's going to move on to top 8 with a completely different list, a Rebel list, in fact, that definitely shores up the argument that Nand knows what he is doing when it comes to X-Wing here. The Talon roll, always a crowd favorite. And a smart move, clears him of the asteroid and gets him the shot for Manaroo.
Put him in a nice place to attack. No, Nand clearly knows exactly where he wants each and every one of his ships. Every piece in this list is synchronized. It's flying in formation. It's perfectly organized. He knows what he's up against and how to counter it. I think Nand just proving once again why he's #1 in the world right now.
It's got to feel really good to get the chance to defend your title.
Absolutely.
You know,
it's a tradition at this point.
Fantastic.
I mean, Paul's a three-peat, and Nand's got a chance to take another one home.
We could potentially end up in a situation where, 6 world championships into X-Wing, we've only had 3 people win it?
It's possible. It's entirely possible. The way Nand is flying and the smart meta choices he's making with this Rebels build.
Mm-hmm. It's cool to see that, some people dismiss, it's all luck.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, stuff like this indicates that, hey, X-Wing is more than just luck. X-Wing has a huge amount of skill going in, both in your list building, but also in your actual maneuvering. It looks like Manaroo might be able to get around. I think she's going to go over the rock.
Yeah, we got Miranda.
Miranda.
Flying fast here. It's gonna be a bump, but that's okay. Got all the time in the world at this point. Manaroo just has no chance. I mean, there's nothing on Earth that's going to change the outcome of this game. Nand just has to fly carefully and smart and bring it home. That 2-dice turret's not going to do much.
Roll the crit on Miranda for the rock, so loses a shield.
Loses a shield. Yeah. Can regen it if necessary.
And now's the time. Take that primary weapon shot. It's not going to do anything.
Absolutely.
You don't care.
Just bring those shields back. Play it safe.
Anybody who's asking about the bomb here, so Miranda could have dropped an ion bomb.
Could've.
And I don't know that that's necessary at this point, but I'm also not sure why you wouldn't. But the cluster mine token there, that's a different type of bomb, so that'll only go off if the opposing ship or any ship actually overlaps it with its base or its template. So it's just going to sit there and just be one more kind of obstacle to maneuvering here that they have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ion bomb's probably a good choice there, but Nand may just be easing off the accelerator. But he knows that he has a lot of time to put this one away.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think that Manaroo is quite close enough to the edge that an ion bomb would have ioned her off anyways, although that's always a devious way to eliminate a big ship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you have a large, very expensive, undamaged ship. It's particularly insulting.
Absolutely. We got more damage coming in. Manaroo not going to be able to stand up to this kind of thing.
Bigs on Manaroo?
I think.
Or is that?
I think.
No, that was Miranda
actually spent a shield instead of regenning one. Nand is an aggressive player. He's not.
You're not
He's
kidding,
not
man.
here for the regen. He's not here to play
3
it safe.
damage on Manaroo. It looks like. That's definitely the aggressive move. Now Biggs picking up a range 3 obstructed shot on Manaroo. He just wants to close it out right now. He wants to have a little break before the next round.
Fair enough, too.
Damage not taken there.
No, but it will.
Jess has a focus, though, because of the pattern analyzer, so she's going to get a decent shot with, looks like 2 rerolls and a focus.
Here comes
this
Manaroo.
Manaroo's shot back. Has to shoot Biggs. It's obstructed in range 3.
Biggs holding on, no problem.
By my count, Biggs only has
This could be a 100-0 match that we have on our hands.
Now, less important here being that it's the elimination rounds, but still a good confidence booster for Nand going into top 8.
Speaks to the strength of his list, which is
just Pava going to re-roll.
Which is huge.
Turn that into 3 hits. Can Manaroo stop this? She's got no focus.
2 more go through. She's almost done.
She's got, 1 left?
I think there's 5.
He's going to call it there. Well, congratulations, Nand, to top 8, knocking out Kyle Lehmbecker of Minnesota.
Strong player. Kyle,
Yeah, man.
Really good list, really good player. But I think what we're seeing here is a lot of the lists that climb to the top at Worlds are those great meta calls.
Yes.
Paul Heaver is well known for that.
That's what he got his championships on the back of. And obviously, Nand's kind of unconventional Miranda build working as advertised. And that was keep in mind, without either torpedo.
No.
That was a very neat piece of flying.
Plasma torpedoes ready to go. Now, we were talking about shooting that torpedo at Manaroo, and clearly Nand had other ideas, better ideas.
Yeah. That shows why.
Able to delete Fenn in just a couple of rounds, which is what that list is pretty clearly built to do.
Yeah, and
because
taking
you can
him
boost
off
that to a 3-dice Autoblaster
and
turret.
getting him out of the backfield just freed up Nand to then focus and not have to worry about that huge damage potential of Fenn Rao.
And
So,
Fenn, Fenn
super
turning
play.
in the way that he did, normally a great move for Fenn, but it led immediately to his destruction.
That was only
So-
a 45-minute match
Yep.
there. 30 minutes left on the clock. That means Nand's going to have some time to relax, gather himself before he goes into top 8.
Yeah, let's see if we can check in on some of the other games. We'll try
let me
to
check
get
the
you
bracket
some,
here and see if we're seeing anything.
some information.
I don't think I have any updates at the moment.
We can talk a little bit more about the other lists in this tournament, though, if you want to hand me that pile of squad lists.
The pile of squad lists
Oh,
isn't here, but this is more or less what we have. That's the general thing.
I am deeply curious about a couple of things. I wonder how Nand's list would fare against that Rear Admiral Shiranu Whisper list.
Yes.
That would be very interesting because
Whisper likes having no pilot skill 9 or 10 to contend with. here.
not only that, but no twin laser turret on the board.
Yes.
I think that Tyler is really actually well positioned to knock Nand out if he can survive the rest of the things
The
in
onslaught
this
of
tournament.
other scum lists.
Because a Phantom with no twin laser turret on the board,
And
Biggs
Tyler-
will eventually go down. And
Tyler
that
right
Decimator
now-
is going to be handing out blinded pilots, going to be handing out direct hits through shields if it wants,
Yep.
or not direct hits, but any sort of pilot
Yep,
crit
pilot
that it wants to throw out there to disrupt things.
We've got Tyler right now is up against Mishri, and I think, at least the chat seemed to think that Mishri was winning that game. So we may not get a chance to see what Rear Admiral and Whisper can do. Mishri, I believe, is running. It's Contracted Scout, Fenrau, and Asajj, I believe.
Interesting.
Or it's one of those kind of scum Attanni Mindlink lists. So
Sure.
we've got a lot of Attanni Mindlink, obviously, to show
Strong
up because
card.
its action economy is just about unparalleled at this point.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 triple contracted scout lists still out there.
Classic.
Got a
another
very interesting.
strong
The
list.
combination of Biggs and Rex, I think, is a cool combination as well. I'm not sure who is flying that, but Biggs, you have to shoot at him, and Rex using his Captain Rex in the Sabine's TIE Fighter, using his ability to kind of mitigate the attacks that are made on Rex using the suppression condition. So cool to see condition cards both showing up with Kylo Ren and Rex here in the top 16, being that that's one of the newest additions to kind of the mechanics of X-Wing.
Yeah, we're seeing conditions make a strong showing. I'm actually really interested in that Biggs, Ray, Jess,
Biggs, Rex.
Jess,
Yep.
and Braylon list,
Yep.
because that's
Arc
another
170.
Wave 9 and beyond list with some
Yeah.
really interesting stuff there. Oh, we've got our squad list back. We can
So
talk
that's
a little
Jerry
bit more.
Russell's list. That's Biggs Darklighter, the standard Biggs Darklighter. Captain Rex, no upgrades.
14. That's 14 points well spent.
Yeah, absolutely. Jess Pava, the adaptability R2D6 pattern analyzer. So a very similar build to what we just saw, but with the adaptability. And then Braylon Stram with the Alliance Overhaul, R3A2, and Gunner.
Gunner is an interesting choice on Braylon. I like it. It helps punch through those token stacks.
Yep, and hand out some
And hand out extra stress.
some more stress.
Yeah, so what we're seeing here is instead of the Y-Wing filling that role of stress control, we're seeing Braylon Stram with Gunner. So it's a tankier platform.
More expensive.
It's more expensive, but it
But
hits a lot harder.
It does.
Hits a lot harder.
It's got more combat power too.
And it has a lot of great coverage with those double arcs. It's not a turret, but it's got a rear firing arc.
So Mishri, he's the one who's playing Tyler right now with the Rear Admiral Cherno and Whisper list. Mishri is running Fenrau in the exact same configuration we saw him here. Asajj Ventress with Mindlink and Lots Arazi. That's a very popular Asajj build.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very tanky.
Really strong.
And then instead of the Manaroo that we usually see there, he's dropped it down to a contracted scout. That still has Mindlink, still has Unhinged, but with Inspiring Recruit, which I think is a nice little bit of anti-stress teching.
Yeah, that's going to serve him really well if he goes up against this Braylon Stram.
Stram. Let's see.
And probably served him pretty well in previous rounds when he was up against the other kind of Biggs Miranda
Yes.
stress lists that
Yep.
have been so prevalent in this tournament.
Yeah, then that's the list that I believe Paul Heaver won one of the system opens with. Biggs,
Popularized
Miranda,
that.
and a Y-Wing with the R3A2. Excuse me. Excellent. We're getting
I'm glad
an
you're
update
sneezing
here.
in that direction.
Not directly in your lap. That seems good. So we may start our top 8 games sooner than 30 minutes plus from now, depending on how the other games go. We are waiting for updates on how those games are going, so we can start to get a read on what our top 8 is going to look like. Keep in mind, we had 1 Imperial list coming into here. We had, I think, 3 Rebel lists.
Yep, there's still a Miranda dash Rendar out there. The round is over at 3:47, so we've got a little time here to kill. What are your predictions for what's going to take it? Is it going to be Scum? Is it going to be Rebels? Is Rear Admiral Shona Whisper going to pull it off?
I think that the two, particularly the Biggs Rex and then Nand's list, those seem to me to be teched against a lot of what they expected to see in the meta.
And then it's working well for them because that's exactly what they're seeing.
Whereas most of the Scum that we're seeing is basically, they're pretty standard meta lists. There's some variety in there, but that's what people expected to run into. JumpMasters, Protectorate fighters, Shadowcasters. Like there's no huge surprises there.
It's true.
Cherno and Whisper definitely could have a chance, especially with the prevalence of the Aces and the Fang Fighters.
I think Tyler caught a bad matchup, though, because he went up against a list with a lot of hull.
Yes.
And a lot of firepower.
Yep, absolutely.
I suspect that his list does better when it can kind of pick apart 2 Protectorate Starfighters.
Yep.
Having a Shadowcaster with stress-dealing capabilities and that contracted scout on top of Fenn, that's a lot of hull and shields to chew through for a list that is much more about control.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see how that one turns out, but that is not probably the matchup that Tyler wanted to see. I think a number of these other lists, actually, going up against Nand's list would have been a pretty good matchup for Tyler because he's got a lot of things in there that Nand is not equipped to deal with. So if Rear Admiral Shirnu and Whisper gets knocked out by a more standard Scum list, that's good news for Nand.
Indeed. I think what's interesting, though, we do have the potential for Biggs to continue having his reign as the winningest X-Wing, pilot in the history of the game.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's still one of the most powerful ships in the entire game. The couple of boosts that he got in the Force Awakens set, and in terms of integrated Astromech,
things like that.
I mean, it's a little bit of an edge, but it's an edge. I mean, we saw it pay off in the game we just watched. He was able to shrug that otherwise quite damaging critical hit and hit back with a full 4 attack dice. Polish off old Teroch.
Looks like Tyler did indeed go down to Mishri from Kuwait.
And thus ends our last Imperial players,
Fittingly, as we've seen the Empire kind of crumble, it's the Rebels and Scum's world here at X-Wing Worlds. I think we're going to take a little break and then be back with some more pregame here before we see Mishri take on Jerry Russell from Texas.
We're going to get to see that really interesting list.
That's going to be an awesome matchup to see with another cool Rebel build and another kind of little interesting twist on traditional Scum builds.
Stay tuned.
So.